an American flag up on the screen for us. And if you'll please listen in while I recite the Pledge of Allegiance. There it is. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'd like to welcome everyone to our virtual meeting this afternoon, and we will begin with some introductions of the board members. Let's see, Vince?
Jim Denver.
I'm sorry, Vince Greiner, board member from Hart.
Shirley?
Shirley Chancellor.
Ellen?
Ellen Kearns.
Mark?
Mark Foyer, board member from Mason County Central.
And I am Kathy Becker from Mason County Eastern. We'll begin with approval of the agenda as presented.
So moved, Madam Chairman.
Is there support?
Support.
Motion's made and supported. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Tonight, our consent agenda consists of payment of bills for February, minutes of our regular meeting, 3 resignations, and the acceptance of trusted advisors grants.
I'll make the motion, Kathy.
Thank you. Is there support?
Support, Detmer.
Okay. Motion's made and supported. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, Dr. Jeffrey, you have a report for us this evening?
Yeah, absolutely. Good evening, everyone. Happy early Valentine's Day. First item of my report has to do with our ASM Tech program, and probably will be the most exciting part of our meeting since we have some students visiting with us. I'm a member of the Talent 2025 Career Readiness Work Group, and just this week we had a committee meeting and the topic was the future of work. And there were some K-12 post-secondary educational programming recommendations that were made at that meeting. And as I was reviewing the recommendations and participating in the discussion, it really struck me how much those recommendations looked like our ASM Tech program. And really made me think about how fortunate we are at West Shore ESD to have an opportunity like this for our students. Dale may have a little something to say before we hear from Paula and the students, so I will turn it over to Dale.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Jeffrey. Yep, you're right. ASM Tech is a great asset in the area for all of our counties and fills a niche to allow students interested in being able to obtain that high school diploma and associate's degree, simultaneously by the end of their 5th year. And Paula Mowell, our coordinator, provides what we like to call in the business the secret sauce to success for those students, because they get more than the normal amount of support through that method in order to achieve those goals. So we appreciate it. It doesn't work without the expertise of Paula. So without further ado, Paula, I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you so much, Dale. Yes, I do have a couple of students with us this evening. I'm going to spend just a minute because we wanted to address this evening what ASM Tech and our educational model has encountered in education for early college students during a pandemic. What does this last semester look like? So I have just a very brief presentation I'm going to show you because it makes it a little bit easier to see some numbers and some information if you're not looking, if you're here, actually see it on the screen in front of you. So ASM Tech. So I want to talk first of all about the struggles. When we looked at the data and looked back at this semester, we said, first of all, the hard classes got harder. The biology, the anatomy and physiology, the chemistry, calculus, the classes that were difficult ended up getting more difficult because they weren't face-to-face. Mental and emotional health struggles, we saw a big increase in that. I think that's proved common across the board. And so some specific numbers for us, there are 54 students in our program, and of them, 22 had to reevaluate their winter schedules after receiving grades from the fall semester. For example, if you had to have a C to pass Biology 1 in order to get Biology 2, maybe the student didn't make that. Or the student had signed up for a large schedule second semester, and that was going to be more than they should probably take on based on how first semester looked. So we did a lot of tweaking the first week back in the winter semester when we were back face to face, and really addressing with each student as much as possible. And then with these 22 very specifically, okay, what do you want to do this next? Like, what's best for you in the next semester? So we put quite a bit of effort into that. So, not an easy time. In fact, I keep saying that this last semester was, one of the worst in history because it was really hard on students. So lots of struggles for this last semester, but we definitely have some successes to share. So the first one is just really fun data. The 12th graders, which are our incoming class, they're the first year on campus with ASM Tech. Almost half of them received straight A's. Now, I want to make it clear that this is their first semester of full-time college during a pandemic with the online learning and the back and forth, were we remote or were we face-to-face or not? They had a larger number of online classes than they normally would have had. I haven't seen a number like that even in non-pandemic years, right? Since I've been with ASM Tech, I've never seen that many students be that successful their first semester on campus. So that was absolutely amazing. But the other thing we pointed out when we talked to students in January after coming back from that fall semester was to say that the amount of grit that was demonstrated was just amazing and very encouraging for us. Some students really struggled in the fall. And I think we don't want to dismiss the fact that it's difficult to get back up and dust yourself off and start over. Right? Re-examine what this next semester should look like and move forward again. And so we did our best to give those students the chance to reevaluate and to process through and to help them remap a plan for being successful after struggling quite a bit. So we've seen a lot, and I'd like to believe that the successes that we've had go a lot deeper than the struggles did and will therefore play out even more over time. So. All right, I have two students with us today. We're going to start by hearing from Michelle Brito. Her home high school before ASM Tech was Shelby, and then after Michelle, we'll hear from Becca Townsend, whose home high school was Mesa County Central. Both of these students are fifth-year students, and so they have both been in ASM Tech for a year before this, so they're both scheduled to graduate this May. So we'll let it go to Michelle now.
Hi. So as Paula mentioned, I'm Michelle, and despite the pandemic, my school year has been amazing, like the best. Last semester, I managed to apply to 14 different colleges, so I have a lot of choices, and now it's like a little bit overwhelming, but it's good that I have choices, and I've been able to strengthen relationships with teachers, and that's helped me come a long ways, which is how I am here today. Today, I am at the Reamer Center, and I just got this internship. At the beginning of the semester, Paula and I had talked about getting some business experience because I want to major in business, so we thought it'd be a good idea. And she sent out an email at the end of January to a couple of different people, and within 2 days, we got a response, and bam, I have a job now. And I love it. I've been doing inventory here, and I had a Microsoft certification exam today, and I passed it with flying colors, and that's really helping me because all my business classes connect. So yeah, my semester is going pretty good.
Hello,
you.
my name. Oh,
Go ahead.
sorry, Paul. I say hello. My name is Becca Townsend. As Paul had introduced, I'm from MCC. I want to talk to you guys a little bit about my connections between ASM and West Shore because I'm like super intertwined at the college, and it's been really good for me. So I am the student senate president at West Shore, Of Student Senate, there are 2/3 of the senators who are ASM Tech students, so 10 out of the 15 of them. They hold titles such as myself, the president, the vice president, our treasurer, the student life coordinator, marketing director, the green team director, and the policy and procedure director. So ASM Tech students make up all of the committee chairs as well as president and vice president of our Student Senate. With Student Senate, we have ordered, it's got to be over 6,000 cloth face masks so far this year that we have had readily available to students sitting inside of the doors of every single one of the buildings on campus. And so if anyone is ever without a mask, they can feel free to grab one. And it's just been really good for students. We've loved to be able to do that. And we actually have another 4,000 masks on order right now so that we can continue to provide those for students because they're still flying right off the tables for us. At this point, we have also ordered over 2,000 hand sanitizers that we've also been putting out on the tables with these face masks. And those have been flying as well. We're so excited to get to put the new design out. And lastly, with Student Senate, we've been focusing on a lot of mental health because I know, like Paula had brought up, it's been much harder for students this semester than in previous semesters. And while West Shore and Student Senate was already rolling on trying to get new counselors and more involved in mental health, it all collided at just the right time and everything's been able to work out really well. And West Shore will be welcoming a new counselor soon, which was heavily influenced by our Student Senate. Other than just Student Senate, I am also the work study and TA for Dr. Paul Belinsky in the biology department. So I get to tutor for that and just work with a lot of really awesome students. And it's been a really good opportunity to get to work in biology, which is a field I want to go into in veterinary medicine.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate Michelle and Becca coming today to talk. And I think, you know, that they represent a couple of great different examples. And I'm going to talk about them for just a quick second here and say that, you know, they've both definitely been through struggles in the time that they've been at ASM Tech, right? And they've both had to figure out how to surmount those obstacles, struggles with the class, struggles with the amount of classes they were taking, the schedule that they had, maybe clarification of what they wanted to do in the long run. They both had to work through that and they've both done an amazing job at it. And so, you know, it's so fun from our perspective to be able to see students go from that 4th year to that 5th year and just really be able to rise to the occasion. One of our students once said that ASM Tech is the best opportunity you'll ever get unless you take it. And if you take it, better opportunities will come after that. And I think Becca and Michelle are really good examples of people who have been given other opportunities and have just stepped up and grabbed those and then really run with them. So that's exciting for us. But we've certainly had our struggles at ASM Tech, as I'm sure, you know, all students and educators have seen. But I love the fact that we're focused on the grit of the students and what they're going for in the long run, right? What this helps them to develop in the long run. And so thank you very much, Becca and Michelle, for coming today and giving us that example. And thank you, I appreciate the board giving us a chance to share with you, you know, what we get to do on a regular basis, which is a lot of fun. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Paula. And certainly I'd like to thank Becca and Michelle also for joining us this evening. Obviously, after listening to you, you are truly both very busy young ladies. And so for you to take time out of your schedules to share your experiences with us means a lot to us. And good luck in your future. We'll be probably hearing more about you from Paula sometime at the end of the year. So thank you for being here.
And congrats on your success too. Appreciate you sharing that with us.
Yeah, thank you very much for having us.
If I may add a concluding point to that, I've heard West Shore President Scott Ward publicly acknowledge on a number of occasions how much the ASM students contribute to the leadership of the student body, campus. That is very well known, and we appreciate his acknowledgement, and it makes us very proud of that. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dale, for sharing that. Okay, Dr. Jeffrey, is there Another item on your report?
Yep, two more items. The next one is simply the celebration of Career and Technical Education Month. And I think I mentioned earlier in the meeting that I'm participating with this Talent 2025 working group. And one of the other recommendations that that group has made is that we take a look at all educational experiences, K-12, and we try to make them look a little bit more like career and technical education. And so I think that folks are beginning to recognize the power and the value of CTE, and it's nice because I believe that it's another acknowledgement of everything that we have to be proud of in terms of our career and technical education programs, our students, and really the work that we do not only with West Shore Community College but also with our business partners. So as a small way for us to acknowledge that, there is a proclamation that's on page 12 in your packet. And, we're hoping that you will entertain the motion that's in the packet to officially recognize our students and program staff and our business partners for the work they do in career and technical education.
All right, I will then entertain a motion to recognize February as Career and Technical Education Month.
I'll make the motion, Kathy.
Thank you. Is there support?
Support.
Did I hear, Jim, was
It
that
was-
you I heard support?
You had Jim and Ellen. You could take your pick.
Okay, thank you. Because we are meeting virtually and this is an action item, we will then have a roll call vote going forward. So Shirley,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
thank you. Vince
Yes.
Yes.
and Ellen,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. Motion carries. I want to apologize to everyone again for the awkwardness of the meeting, but we're not really good at this virtual stuff, but we do our best. So,
Well,
all
we're
right,
keeping-
Dr. Jeffrey.
We're keeping our fingers crossed that March will be our last month that we have to do this. Right now, that's where the order has us, and maybe that will change in our favor and we can get back together. The last item that I have for you, and I know it's the one that you've all been waiting for, but it is our required update on the extended COVID-19 learning plans. So I'll try to get through that quickly. This information's on page 13 in your packet. The extended learning plan will continue without modification for all three of the programs that it addresses. So for us, that's the Great Start Readiness Program. That would be our special education programs and also career and technical education programs. And again, all the information is on page 13. The two-way interaction rates for the period of January 4th through the 26th range from between 94 and 99% across all three of those programs. And February is a special month for this particular requirement because we are also required to report out on our goals. And where we are with those goals right now, this would be as follows. We're currently in the testing window for literacy and mathematics with GSRP. So we will actually have data on March 19th, which means I'll share that during the April board meeting with you. So we're currently testing. Special education, good news, 75% of our transition students have showed growth in mathematics this year, and 82% of the same group of students have shown growth in reading and ELA. And in terms of career and technical education, we have some leading indicator data to share with you that at this point in time, we're on track with the required curriculum segments that we're delivering in programs. And when we get to the end of the year, we'll have the data that's really important, and that is how did we do in terms of certifications and credentials. So really concrete information in special ed and nothing yet in the other two areas. If there are any questions on extended learning plans, I'll try to answer them. Otherwise, I'm finished.
Anyone have any questions for Dr. Jeffrey? Not. Thank you very much, sir.
You're
We will
welcome.
then move on to asking if we have any written communication.
We do not.
Thank you. Are there any comments or concerns from any citizens that are joining us? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to our reports. We begin with Gateway to Success Academy update. Jamie, are you there?
I am.
Thank you. Oh, and we see
Yeah.
your face. I thought it was just going to be your voice. So
Well, it's good to see you guys. So just wanted to take a few minutes to give you an update. Are you ready for that, Kathy?
yes.
Okay, all right. Just kind of looking at the report I shared with you guys, I mentioned or I addressed some things. Enrollment was one of the things I wanted to just get you updated on. And, our numbers have fluctuated a lot. We ended up, you saw our count for the fall was 123 students. We went as high as 147 at one point, in the 2 to 3 weeks prior to that, but there's a lot of transition, people moving in and out. And so we landed on 123. Our high school spots in our middle school were full. So one thing to remember is we increased our enrollment in our middle school this year to 45, and that is now full. And we have a waiting list now for our middle school. And then our high school still has spots available. So that's where our enrollment is. Open enrollment's coming up, and I just wanted to clarify to you guys what open enrollment is. I know in traditional public schools you don't have to do open enrollments, but again, I just gave you some information about what that is, and really it's a time that we have to offer every year, about a 2-week period where students can enroll and they have an equal chance at any spots that are available. And like I outlined in my report, I gave you an example of what that would look like in the middle school. So it's the one time of the year where if we had more people apply than spots were available, we would actually do a lottery to pick those spots, and the other students would go on waiting list. And I don't know this year with our middle school what will happen there, but that could be a situation we face there. Post-COVID and comprehensive 612 curriculum, obviously all schools have been addressing the different needs that we've had going on with COVID. And now as we start to move out of that time, we hope, we look to the future and what that will look like. And one of the things we are working on is trying to develop a comprehensive curriculum at G2S. We've, as a young school, we've had a lot of curriculum development going on with staff, and we are at a point where we really want to solidify that into a 612 curriculum. And so we're moving towards that. Changing demographics, I thought that was just an interesting thing to share with you. Looking at what's going on in our middle school and high school, and I shared some information with you guys from a report that I had listened to by Emma Adam, and really was very interesting about what's going on with Gen Z and the stress that they're feeling. And then we started to really kind of dissect that and looking at our two 6-8 and 9-12, and we really realized you can see some of the numbers that we came up with at the bottom. We identified that there were some significant differences. So if you see that chart that is at the top of the second page, it talks about the number of economically disadvantaged in our middle school, and you can see the difference between our middle school and our high school. 45% versus 80%. McKinney-Vento 2% versus 25%. Parent support that goes with that, which is a huge part of student success, especially when we're looking at students doing online learning. And you see with the middle school, we estimated that there were 24 of the 37 students at that time that had parent support, and only 10 of 81 in the high school. So that's obviously significant. And then academic success, you can see how that plays out with students. The middle school has been very, very successful. 27 out of 37 students were successful and have been successful last term. And then with the high school, 20 out of 81. And success was identified as passing 3 out of 5 classes, at least 3 out of 5 classes. And then just shared with you guys, as Dr. Jeffries mentioned, one of the things that's going on is the goal reporting currently. So I shared with you our reports, and this is our middle school. So we reported on our 6-8, our 9-12 we did not need to do. And so I just showed you guys the results of that. And I could get into different parts of it, but looking at the all students part at the top where you look at the growth, reading, in reading, you have, the test was taken before February 1. So those are actual scores by February 1st. Then those are projections through the end of the year. If that growth were to continue, you can see the projections that would occur. And so it's projected that they would increase their RIT score over 3.5% or 3.5 points in reading. And then in math, if you look at that, you are almost 5 on a RIT score. And that is a strong increase. So we're happy with the fact that we're seeing our students learning and growing amidst our COVID situation.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Jamie. Does anyone have any questions for Jamie about his report? No. Thank you very much. And back to the basketball game.
All right. Thank you for your time. Yeah, I'm going to jump in the car and go see Abby play. So thank you guys for
Great. All right.
All right. Bye.
Good luck with that.
Bye.
Excuse me. All right. Next, we'll have our educational services updates, beginning with Amy and instructional services.
Good evening. Our report begins on page 20. I just want to draw your attention to a few of our professional learning events. We continue to have really great attendance at our principal meetings. And last month, we were able to differentiate and have a separate session for elementary educators as well as our secondary educators. And we also had some high school counselors join us because the PSAT, SAT topic applied to them, obviously. So we had great attendance with that. Also then on page 21, I want to draw your attention to the great collaborative effort that occurred in our Great Start Readiness program. Brenda Ronco, the early childhood supervisor, has been hosting these pop-up events, meaning people can jump in and attend those as they like. We had great attendance, and that was a collaborative effort with the special education department. The speech and language therapist, you can see Kara Albright and Stephanie Hart, worked with them regarding different ways speech affects preschoolers and what those teachers then can do about it as well. So we were appreciative of their time and collaboration with Brenda to support our GSRP staff. A couple other things you should be aware of. The state of Michigan has converted to a new required school improvement system known as MyKIP, which stands for Michigan Integrated Continuous Improvement Process. Big learning curve for our locals. And so just wanted you to be aware that as we transfer to that system, I've been meeting with locals and doing what I can to provide support to them, because it's a really, maybe not the best year to start something so new on this scale, but we didn't have a say in that. So we're going to make the best of it and support them the best we can. And then lastly, just wanted to draw attention to our general ed social work gang. They are really, and we're just over 1.5 years in with that initiative. And those ladies have stepped up and are already known as kind of leaders in the field in the state. They've coordinated some efforts to provide training and leadership and collaboration among all those positions that exist in all the ESDs. So they're, I know, a very integral part of that. And I have to say, I think they were the idea people behind that. So very proud of the leadership they have shown with that in the state initiative. So that's all from me this month. And if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer those. If not, I'll hand it over to Kim.
Okay, thanks, Amy. The special ed portion of the report begins on page 22 with information about our transition council. Council, as we call it, is an opportunity for educators, agencies, businesses to come together and collaborate on successful transition of students with disabilities going from the school setting to the workforce. So you can see the minutes from that meeting are on page 26. I've also included minutes from our Special Education Parent Advisory Committee meeting. Reps from local districts in the ESD met in January, and they're currently working on announcing and recognizing the 2020 Make a Difference Award nominees. You may recall last spring we had to cancel the ceremony that we usually hold in conjunction with the prom. So we're working on a plan to announce those and get those out. We had a record-breaking 38 nominees this past year. So we'll get those out and then they'll work on the 2021 nomination form. Further down on page 22, you'll see pictures and a brief description of our food distribution efforts. So this is the Lakeshore Food Club has had the weekly distribution of the USDA Farmers to Families food boxes. And last week we were able to distribute a little over 2,000 pounds of food to our families. And this week we're planning on close to 3,500 pounds of food. So needless to say, we've enlisted the help of student volunteers to assist with that effort. They're doing loading and unloading. I'll try to get you some pictures next month. So last week, the employability skills class students helped. And this week we have our Horizons students lined up to help with that. Over on page 23, we have an update from the Transportation Department. And this includes the recent pilot of the backlit school bus signs. And there was a news article about that with pictures where you can see the difference. For programming and staff updates, also on page 23, we can see the number of students selecting in-person learning has steadily increased throughout the school year, which is good news. So we have 78% of our students currently attending in person. And then finally, on page 23 for special ed, we have a brief millage update. So mostly what we've been doing lately is informational sessions for ESD staff groups. And then Dr. Jeffrey's been setting up local school district board sessions for us to do informational meetings. Any questions for special education?
Questions, anyone?
Just a comment if there are no questions. I just wanted to say that on Monday, Carrie and Kim and I are going to be addressing the Walkerville board and also the Pentwater board, regarding the millage. And so if any board members were interested in tagging along to observe that, I just wanted to put the invite out there, and please let me know if you are, and then I'll, coordinate with you so that we can make that happen.
Okay. Thank you, Kim.
Thanks.
Dale, CTE, please.
Thank you, Madam President. CTE report begins on the bottom of page 23. I guess if there's a theme here this month, it's adaptability and creativity. One of the things that's a mainstay for us is bringing 10th graders out to the center to have them tour programs and be aware of everything we have. We do it with 8th graders, and then we bring 10th graders out when they're getting serious about scheduling their 11th and 12th grade classes. Of course, we can't bring them out in person this time. Like many centers around the state, our folks are being really creative about that. Shelby Hughes has put together a system to get from each of the classrooms that highlight teachers and students and what they do in there, and getting those produced in a nice fashion, getting them delivered to the local schools so they can use them in their information and scheduling processes. They're turning out quite well. We put a sample in there. There's a link to one of those from a welding instructor. That's a good example of that. We'll have an entire list of them, connected to our webpage here shortly, where you'd be able to look at each and every one of them. So they're doing a nice job with that, and that's connected with their course guide information. So students will have everything they need to know about CTE, and also links to contact instructors directly to ask them questions. We also participated with the USDA food boxes. We brought over 75 boxes last week to CTE students and distribute them. That was a lot of fun. The staff was all in on that. The welding students were very helpful. When I brought my truck back full of boxes, they had it unloaded in about 6 minutes, deployed to where they needed to go. So you have lots of manpower around here at CTE to do that. So that was fun. We're going to do it again this week. have a very similar order. You also see some details on the Strive for a Safer Drive campaign. You folks are well acquainted with this. Kristen Gregory's criminal justice students have done this for a number of years, winning some state awards and presenting at state conferences on that program. And they try to put a little different spin on it every year and do some different activities. So this year, you see some of the activities that they've highlighted in there. That it's a speeding campaign, an informational series that they're working on there. If you would get a chance, that YouTube video that there's a link in there, that's about a 57-second PSA, and the student from her class that's doing that is Erin Rosales from MCC. Really impressive delivery in that. One of the leadership aspects of many of our classes is public speaking, and that's a great example. And so thank you for your support of that. Last month you authorized the acceptance of the grant to do that work. And then on page 25, another example of creativity, what instructors are having to do. One of the things that's incumbent upon us to do is to show students different career opportunities and post-secondary education pathways. It's a little harder to do when you can't bring speakers in and you can't bring representatives from schools in, so they're having to do it virtually. You have a picture there in the West Shore Center Stage Auditorium of the combined welding and mechatronics students from I think this one is the afternoon session. Where they're spread out in the auditorium, and then the representative from Lincoln Technological Institute is electronically visiting us and can go through his program and answer student questions. It's a necessary component, and they're having to use means like this in order to get that done. But it's working out, and for students it's great because they don't even really understand what a technical school is and what that means and what opportunities they might have. So this really broadens their horizons. So hats off to the staff for being creative and finding ways to conduct business as unusual, I would say. So well, thank you, and I'd be happy to entertain any questions.
Anyone have any questions for Dale?
Thanks, Dale.
If not, thank you, Dale. Carrie, business office update, please. There she is.
Yes, Madam President. So let's turn in your packets to page 35. We're first going to talk about the budget amendments tonight. So on 35 is career and technical education. In the far right corner of the current proposed for 2021, you can see if we move down to just below the expenditures to where it says excess revenues and appropriations, you can see that this budget really has really relatively minor changes to it. We're projecting to actually spend a little less money overall than what we had anticipated in our previous quarterly budget amendment. So going into our fund balance to the extent of about $158,000. And you can see noted down at the bottom too, there's a couple of reasons for that. So the first is we have a little bit additional local community stabilization funds. And what those are is those are state revenues in lieu of personal property taxes that used to be collected locally. Now they're collected at the state level and, and passed through to us. You'll also see that in a couple of the other funds as well. The other thing too is letter B. There was a slight increase in our expenditures there, and it's predominantly because of the fact that we have additional devices and connectivity and curriculum, and the net effect really for that particular line item is zero because we were able to utilize the MyConnect grant funding that we shared with you in, I think, a couple of meetings ago, that revenue to offset. So those are the changes in the Career and Technical Education Fund. General Fund, so that's on page 36. Really similar to the Career and Technical Education Fund in that there's a, really a minor change in this budget compared to our previous amended budget. So again, looking at that excess revenues over appropriations, about a $20,000 change from the last time. And those changes are, so letter A is really the same thing as the MyConnect, where, we have additional 31N funding that we're planning to spend for our 31N staffing changes, which was presented to you last month. The new general education social worker, I believe you met Jamie last month. And then also last month, we shared with you too the School Communicators Network contract for the Proud to Partner, working with School Communicators Network. So that is the change in letter B. So really some, minor changes in the general fund. And then moving on to page 37. So page 37, the Special Education Fund really has the most significant change here. And basically what this change boils down to is that we had originally planned this school year to start our reintegration program. And you'll recall, when we shared that information with you, that we were going to continue to work with our local districts, partnering with them on this program and, trying to determine the need before moving forward. Given some of the challenges with this school year and the pandemic, and certainly probably other reasons that, that we're not aware of, the program, the reintegration program, the second offering of it is going to be tabled for this school year. We definitely are keeping that in mind, and it will be included in our 2022 budget because, that was something that we heard from our local districts is this was important for us to have the second offering of the program. So just wanted to, be clear about that we do plan on including this in our 2022 budget. But given the fact that, we're in February for this school year, we didn't think it was prudent for us to continue including that in this current school year's budget. So that's the main reason for the change in Special Education Fund. So that program, we had originally budgeted approximately $300,000. You can see this change in this budget is about $200,000. And the reason for that is because there is additional expenditures in regards to our millage renewal. So, the renewal that was approved by you for us to proceed putting on the ballot proposal. The cost for that millage renewal, basically, because the rules have changed in regards to walk-in ballots, the taxing entities have to have ballots available for 100% of their voters in every single jurisdiction. So that will cause an increase in costs. And then also, just given the natural, increase in cost from 8 years ago as well. So we're expecting, based upon the information that we've received from the county, Mason County, our election coordinator, it looks like our costs are going to be over double what they were previously. So that is also included in this budget as well. So I'll pause there about the budgets and see if there's any questions before I move on to anything else.
Where did that election process show up from? The legislature?
Yeah, so that's been, I think it was last year, right? Because during the presidential election, we could have, jurisdictions could have walk-in voters. They could vote, same day voter registration, basically. So that's the reason why they have to have 100% ballots for every single person is because you could come in that day, the day of the election and vote versus previously, there were deadlines for voting that were prior to election day.
Got to be some considerable redundancy there, doesn't there?
I'm not 100% sure, because I haven't really studied that voter turnout in our region and it's relatively new. And I know some of it was impacted by the pandemic. So I know that at this point, it's definitely going to cost more to have an election than what it has in the past. So you would likely conclude that there would be some redundancy.
We maybe better get our friend Jack and some others on the ball here.
Yes, sir.
Okay, anyone have any other questions about the budget for, excuse me, for Carrie?
Okay, so page 33 then, just one other thing that I want to point out in the report that is we're asking for your recommendation to proceed on this as well. So the section that talks about the Office of Retirement Services update, basically, there has been a question about the FICA taxability of the 3% healthcare contributions. And so after considerable discussion with our legal counsel, our auditors, many of our state organizations who are also really in touch with ORS and IRS on this issue, we have not definitely decided at this point, because there's still some details we're waiting on, whether to proceed with signing this power of attorney that would allow us to be part of this closing agreement. And part of it is because there's still some questions as to what that's really obligating the district to do. However, our legal counsel has recommended to us that because the board has the authority to determine who our legal counsel is, and because this power of attorney would be utilizing a different attorney, it would be the Office of Retirement Services attorney, Mr. Wilkes, that's identified in I think the third paragraph of on page 33. So because of that, we're asking for your approval for us to, as we determine necessary, or I guess to be prudent, at our discretion, we're asking for your approval to engage in utilizing the legal services of Mr. Wilk and Dykema Gossett, PLLC, for this matter, if we should determine it necessary to proceed. The deadline is March 1st for filing that power of attorney. So we hope that we will have more information between now and then. But if we waited till our March board meeting, it would be too late for us to submit that. So we needed to present that at this board meeting. So any questions about this FICA taxability?
This is a private attorney or a private service in addition to our normal relationship?
That's correct. That's correct. Yep. This is the legal counsel for the State of Michigan Office of Retirement Services. So basically every district in the state of Michigan that wants to participate with this closing agreement to finalize the taxability on it, which we feel is going to be a favorable ruling. At least that's what we've heard. Every school district will have to enter into this agreement, filing the power of attorney for that attorney to act on our behalf.
What kind of advice are we getting from True Match on this one?
So Troon at this point in time is, wanting us to proceed with caution, and they're really very instrumental with trying to get some of the questions that we've asked. Some of the questions are things such as, do we file amended W-2s for employees? Because, this is really, as you can see, it for us, it impacts 2012. So that was quite a long time ago. We're advocating for a different route to be taken so that we don't have to do that, so it doesn't impact folks, their tax return filings, et cetera. So Troon is really trying to help us get the answers to our question to determine whether we should proceed. And so at this time, they're the ones that are recommending that we get board approval to engage with this legal counsel. And certainly, Dr. Jeffrey and I will have lots of conversation before we actually move forward. And I'm sure he will share in, a board update, any of that information as well.
This is at our expense?
So no, at this point in time, ORS has agreed to pick up the $3,000. That's part of every district's requirement to participate in the closing agreement.
Sneaky little devils, aren't they?
It's quite an interesting situation.
Yes, it is.
Gary, what's our rough financial exposure with an adverse ruling on this? We haven't been paying the FICA for, sounds like 7 or 8 years on this contribution into the retirement fund, and that's going to get substantial, I'm assuming.
Well, so really for us, what we've been doing is we've been treating it tax exempt for every single year since 2010. And that was, based upon some guidance from Troon and others way back when. There was one quarter that we treated it as taxable. And so, what we're hearing is that ORS and IRS are working together to try to enter into a private letter ruling that would really opine in a favorable situation for districts like us, where we collected taxes for that quarter, and then therefore we would be granted a refund. So it doesn't appear like there's too much of a downside yet at this point in time. And so from a financial perspective, overall, it would be approximately $7,000 for us. 4,000 of that would be West Shore ESD, and 3,000 of that would be the employees that were employed at that time.
So those FICA taxes were withheld from the
For
employees?
one quarter, yeah, for one quarter, but not the rest.
Okay. But I guess I'm trying to, so if it's ruled in the way we hope, that's a refund to those folks from 7 to 9 years ago, whatever it is. But if it's the other way around, the IRS is ruling that that's all taxable for FICA. We've got, besides the paperwork of correcting all those back W-2s, we've got a major tax bill as well. And I'm not certain how we would collect it.
Yeah. Yeah, so no, they're not considering that at all. Really, the question, Vince, is whether or not it's cost efficient or cost effective for us to amend W-2s, folks to amend their tax returns, et cetera. Because, if you think about it, $3,000, we have about 200 employees, that's an average refund of $15. They're likely going to pay a lot more than $15 if they have to amend their tax return for the 1 year that is impacted. And then, you factor in some of the costs and stuff of W-2s as well. So that's, the main concern. There really isn't any indication at this point in time that they're not going to view favorably the way that we have been treating it. There's been no indication whatsoever. And even from the get-go, there was an informal opinion from ORS and IRS based on, their discussions that that taxability seemed like, based on prior practice and prior precedent, that it was okay for us to treat it as not taxable. That happened really at the end of 2012, which is why we switched and started treating it as non-taxable income.
So this really would only affect tax year 2012, that one quarter in 2012, and not all the years since that time.
Correct, because that's the only quarter that we withheld taxes on these retirement health care contributions. Yep.
Interesting.
Looks to me like
Any
they
other
want
questions?
their boo-boo.
I don't know if that's the case. I think they're just officially willing to say, yes, it's, not taxable. Before it was kind of a soft thing. And so now they're trying to make it official, which is good.
Doesn't take it very long to make the mind, does it?
So Carrie, if I understand correctly, what you're asking for is the ability to utilize this firm if it becomes necessary as you're going forward because of the timing
correct.
of the deadline. Okay,
That's
so
correct.
You're not
Yes.
saying you're actually doing this or not. This just gives you the flexibility to join in if it becomes the way we want to go in the future, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Is the
Other questions?
$3,000? Yeah, Carrie, the $3,000 that you mentioned, is that effectively a retainer if we you and Jason were to decide to go forward with them
No,
representing us?
No, so the IRS, it sounds like the IRS, what they do is with every private letter ruling that each taxing entity that's involved with it is charged $3,000. So it's not really a legal retainer at all. This is payment to the IRS. And ORS has agreed to pay that on behalf of every district that enters into the closing agreement. And part of the reason why they've agreed to do that is, you know, they're kind of feeling like power in numbers and really trying to, you know, have a bigger impact on the IRS's decision.
Okay, all right, yeah, I'm a little bit familiar with private rulings and.
So we have to
it
pay them
sounds like-
$3,000 in order to get our $7,000 back. So we'll actually realize a $4,000 return.
We're not
I
paying
mean, we're
any
not
of
paying it. I know we are not paying it, but someone is paying it. So
Yeah.
I guess the point is the IRS is actually paying out 4,000 of that because they're gaining the other 3,000 trade-off.
That's correct. That's
Interesting,
correct.
interesting way to do that. So.
Well, there's a lot of districts who treated it as taxable all along. So, you know, so for some districts, this is going to be a significant impact for them. You know, we kind of erred on, you know, the side of actually our legal counsel. You know, we followed what our legal counsel and our auditor suggested at that time. So.
Yes,
We're-
I see what
we're-
you're saying. If other people had done it for the, you know, almost 10 years, that would be some significant dollars they're talking about recouping then. So,
Mhm.
okay, other questions or for Carrie? No, if not, okay, thank you very much, Carrie.
You're
At
welcome.
this time, then, I will entertain a motion. First of all, that we approve the amended budgets for special ed, general fund, and career and tech education as presented.
I'll move.
Is there support?
I'll support that.
Well, Ellen did too. I had my microphone muted. I apologize.
Okay, so motion's made and supported. We'll have a roll call vote. Shirley?
Yes. Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Vince?
Yes,
Ellen?
Yes.
The chair votes. Chair votes yes, motion carries. All right, and now we will we need a motion to approve the recommendation to utilize the firm of Dykema Gossett, W. Allen Wilk from that firm to represent us in the IRS issue.
I'll make that motion.
Okay,
Support.
motion's made and Shirley, you supported?
Yes.
Okay, motion's made and supported. Any discussion?
Yeah, I never want to talk about this issue again.
That could be the follow-up motion, Mark.
$7,000. We're gonna approve a $14 million budget. We're dinking around for $7,000. Sorry. That's just me.
Yes, yes. And so it goes. Okay. So we will roll call vote. Shirley?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Mark?
God, yes.
Vince?
okay.
Ellen?
Yeah.
The chair votes yes, motion carries. Oh my, all right. Human resources update you received in your packet. Any questions or comments about that for Jason? He can answer any
So-
questions if you have them.
So Madam
Carrie?
President, if I can just cover that real quickly, if that's all right with you.
I'd love to have you cover it. Thank you.
Okay. I'm sure you guys haven't heard enough from me tonight, right?
No, we haven't.
As you guys know, Polly is on medical leave. So just real briefly, I wanted to tell you two things about the HR report. So the first is we're developing a contract for Terry Stye to assist us, during Polly's medical leave. So look for that next month. And then secondly, I wanted to point out to you also that Perry Lundberg, our CBO secretary, is retiring after 10 years of service with us. So, if you have a chance to send her a quick message or, give her appreciation for all of her years of service credit. She's our Energizer bunny. We actually call her the hummingbird because she's very busy in the front office. So we will definitely miss Perry as she moves on to greener pastures, probably taking care of her 17 grandchildren, is my guess.
Wow. Okay. All right. Any
So thank
questions?
you, Madam President.
You're welcome. Anyone have any questions about that for Carrie? Thank you for sharing that with us. Next on the agenda is the learning plan reconfirmation. As you know, we go through this on a regular basis. So I'll entertain a motion that we approve that reconfirmation.
I'll make the motion since everybody's
Thank
quiet.
Thank you, Shirley. Is there support? Ellen supports.
Ellen,
All right, we'll begin voting. Shirley,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Vince,
Aye.
Ellen.
Yes.
The chair votes yes, motion carries. Dr. Jeffrey, do you have some recommendations for us?
yeah,
this evening?
I do. The first one has to do with the MASB Board of Directors. And I think as everybody knows, Jim is our MASB delegate. I think you also had some information in your packet, but it's our job to identify someone this evening. So however to proceed with that, Kathy, I do think Jim has done some research.
We've,
Sure, everyone's had a chance to look over the information that we received. And as you say, Jim is the one that we count on to keep us informed about this. So Jim, if you'd like to share what you found or your recommendation with us, we'd appreciate it.
well, in the first place, I'm extremely pleased with the response and the number of candidates that have come forward. And I did take the opportunity to respond to their emails and thank them for their interest. But I'm also a great believer in rewarding service, and our current director in that position has done an outstanding job for us. She's just coming off of her 5-year commitment as a delegate and president-elect and president, and she's just now getting to the point where she can really be useful to us. And I mean that sincerely. And I don't want to discourage people that are willing to serve, but my recommendation, my personal concern is that we let Jill have a chance to have some fun while she's at it here.
Okay. Anyone else have anyone that they would like to support or speak about?
I agree with Jim.
Okay. Jim, would you like to make a motion then?
Yes, I would, that Jill be re-nominated for the position of MASB Director, Region 3.
Okay, is there support for that?
I'll support it.
Okay, motion's made and supported. Any discussion? Okay, we'll vote by roll call to approve Jill Fennessy and return her to the position that she's served us well in the past. So Shirley,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Vince,
Yes.
Ellen.
Yes. Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion carries. All right.
Okay, Kathy, well, the next item is West Shore ESD Board of Education appointment. And as you all know from your packet and prior communication, we need to fill the remainder of Pat's term at this evening's meeting. And we had 5 candidates who initially expressed interest. We wound up with 4 eligible candidates, and over the last couple of days, that number has dwindled down to 2 for various reasons, I think having to do with work commitments of folks who were initially interested. So Kathy is going to take us through the process of that important appointment.
All right. As you know, we have 2 applicants this evening that we're going to consider to fill the post. And I did see that Irma Hinojosa has joined us. Is Amy Baker here? It's not necessary for her to be present to be considered. But has anyone seen that where she has joined the meeting?
Nope.
Irma still with us? Irma, are you there, Irma?
Yes, I am present.
Yeah, she's here. But so Amy is not here as part of the meeting?
No, she is not present.
All right, thank you. And as I said, it is not a requirement that someone be here to be considered for the position. So we need to be aware of that. And we did receive information in the applications from the different candidates. But because Irma has agreed to join us this evening, we certainly want to give her an opportunity then to tell us why you're interested in serving on the board and what you see as the role of a school board member. So the floor is yours, Irma.
Thank you. And I want to thank you for the invitation, inviting me to your meeting. It's about as interesting as the Hart School Board meeting as well.
Actually, Irma, I don't want to take into your time, but I was thinking as we were going through the meeting, Dr. Jeffrey and Tracy, if we find ourselves in this position again, I would like to move the selection of this board member to the beginning of the meeting. Because once I was afraid as she's listening to it that you were going to get a little email from Irma saying, changed my mind.
As she's running out the door.
Thank you for understanding.
Yeah,
Irma.
no problem. To answer your question, my interest in serving the board for the ESD board is to add a little bit of diversity and to bring a voice to a growing Hispanic population in the ESD area. To the forefront, I feel that a lot of our Hispanic population in Shelby and Hart and part of Pontwater is not being represented. And I am a member of the Oceana Hispanic Center. Actually, I'm the chairperson there, and we get a lot of requests through the Hispanic Center for translation of documents that come from the school, especially once we hit this pandemic. It was really hard for a lot of that population of people to be able to help their children with the language barriers. So I think that is very important. And as leaders of our community, I feel that it is our responsibility to be able to assist with helping those people. The second part of the question talks about the role of a board member. And personally, I feel that a board member is someone who is interested in focusing on the best interests of the community that they serve, someone with integrity and honesty and is constructive and fair, someone who is respectful of others' opinions and views and can quietly sit and listen to someone else's point of view and then, present opinions and make comments, but not be disrespectful for that view. And just honoring the organization's mission and values, and when making decisions that will affect, the organization and its community, just being fair and being open-minded. And lastly, I feel that this person has to be someone that has trust and that treats people equally, regardless of their status. I know that, some people have tendency of, especially in the Hispanic population, they just don't want to approach someone who is dressed up in a suit or in very nice clothing just because they feel that, that they're not going to be heard. But I feel that it is important just to give everyone that same opportunity regardless of their status.
Great. Thank you very much. Any board members have a question or two they'd like to ask Irma?
I've got a question.
Yes, Mark.
Irma, you reside in the Hart School District, is that true?
Yes, I do reside in the Hart School District.
Well, good. It's about time we had some decent representation from Hart.
No offense to Mr. Greiner, he does a very well job today.
Sorry. That's more of a statement than a question. My apologies.
Oh, all righty then.
I didn't-
Anyone else?
I didn't
Jim?
know I was campaigning, but
Oh, Vince.
anyway.
I,
Sorry, no offense taken.
I just want to acknowledge the fact that Irma and I have had occasion to cross paths many times over the last many years. She has represented her community well. She's represented the professional organizations that she's involved with, and it's evidenced by her presentation here tonight. And I can't fault the other lady for not being here. That's her fault. But at the same time, Irma, I'd be happy to support you for this position.
Thank you so much.
All right. Anyone else? Comments or questions? If not, then, as you know, you have a score sheet for your use in, and if you want to just take a moment or two and make your decision as far as who is your first choice and second choice. And let me know, put your hand up maybe when you're ready and let me know, and then we'll proceed.
I'm not sure. I didn't know my first choice. We're all ready.
All right. Jim is ready.
Ellen's
Mark
ready.
is ready. Shirley.
I'm ready.
Okay. Vince. Ellen.
She's
I'm
ready.
ready.
I'm raising my hand.
He's ready
for her.
too. Okay, then what we'll proceed by, I will call on each board member and ask you to name your first choice. Shirley.
Irma.
Shirley.
Irma.
Okay, thank you. Jim.
Irma.
Mark.
Irma.
Vince.
Irma, and Irma, could I ask you, what is the correct pronunciation of your last name?
The correct pronunciation is Hinojosa. The H is silent.
Hinojosa.
Hinojosa without an H.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay, very
thank
good.
you.
Thank you. Irma Hinojosa.
Ina, got it. Ellen.
Irma Hinojosa.
And the chair also votes for Irma. So we now have a unanimous decision. And with that, I would entertain a motion from a board member to make an
Also
appointment.
moved.
Jim, is there support?
Support.
Motion is made and supported to appoint Irma Hinojosa to the West Shore ESD Board of Education, and she will serve until, I believe it's June or
June.
June, and then be eligible to run for that seat. So any other discussion from other board members?
That is, Jason, this seat will be up for a full 6 years at that point, or is there a partial term that seat will be?
Yeah, my
elected?
understanding of the statute, Vince, is when when we do an appointment, then as soon as there is that the biannual election is held, then we do it for that seat. So that's how the calendar worked out this time.
Correct, but Pat Collins' seat, was that due to expire this June anyway? I don't recall.
I don't think it was. I have it right here. No, that was not due to expire this year.
So it's a partial
Okay.
term.
So it's to fill the
Correct.
rest of Pat's term, yes. And then
Yeah,
then
that
it would be
election,
eligible.
yeah,
Okay,
okay.
all right. Other questions or comments?
Nope.
All right, Shirley,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Vince,
Yes,
Ellen?
Yes.
The chair votes yes, motion carries. Irma, welcome to the
Welcome.
West Shore.
Thank you
ESD
so much
Board.
for giving me this opportunity.
We certainly look forward to working with you in the future, and I think you're going to be a great addition to our board for many, many reasons. So we certainly appreciate your interest, and we appreciate the fact that you came back and applied again this time. Since Mark stole your seat last time.
Oh, is that who it was?
Yes, it was Mark.
Now I know.
I wanted to make sure you knew that. So,
Okay.
There's no
Okay.
secrets at the ESD. Right.
And Irma,
any other
either Tracy
business
or I
before the
will
board?
reach out about orientation, okay? Sorry, Kathy.
Okay, sounds great. Sounds
Talk
great.
to you.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, everyone. I
Oh.
appreciate having the opportunity, and I will promise that I will do good. I have some
I don't
big
think
shoes
anyone
to fill
doubts that.
because I know Pat Collins. I've known her for years because she taught here at the college in the nursing program.
Yes.
And so I will try to be as good as Pat, but I don't know about that.
Well, she had a few more years of experience, so
Yes,
a role
yes.
to
And
grow
I
into.
certainly will not be calling you from Florida either. So.
That is
Okay,
so disappointing to hear that.
I do want to take a moment before we adjourn to ask you to please congratulate Perry for us on her retirement and let her know that we certainly are going to miss her. You were right. She was like a little shining star in that office when you walked in with that perky smile and kind of kept everything going. And she will certainly
hard
be
to miss.
missed. And I understand, I think it was March 15th is her last day.
That's correct.
That she'll be in the office, so we have time to talk to her or send her a card or something like that before she leaves. So,
Beware
all
the
right.
Ides of March.
Yes, yes. There being no other business to come before the board, meeting's adjourned. Thank you all for coming virtually. Have a good night.
Have a good
and
night,
good month.
everybody. Thank
Happy
you.
Valentine's Day.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night.